So that's the DVD. That's your version. That's so far. And it's quite rough and ready.
Which way
it's
do
not
you
really
put
edited.
this?
No, the other way.
This is the story of Paul Downs, a successful Midlands businessman. In February 2009, he spent a fortune hiring a fairy tale castle in Jamaica. Paul also invited 12 beautiful Ukrainian women, some of them part-time models, for an all-expenses-paid 2-week holiday. Paul's plan was that one of the women would become his wife. I hardly knew Paul at all when he asked me to come along and film, so I had no idea what to expect. But whilst I was in Jamaica, I came face to face with something amazing, something rarely captured on camera. What at first appeared to be an innocent fantasy became ever more bewildering. Although confused and disorientated at times, I was eventually able to make some sense of Paul's extraordinary mind.
It was a fantasy, and I believed every part of it. And of course, you spend ridiculous sums of money. It cost me about $250,000, the overall trip. And you think, what on earth have I done? That's one of the things that you do, is you spend every penny you get your hands on.
Trident Castle sits like a vast wedding cake on the edge of the sea in Port Antonio, Jamaica. It's an exclusive resort rented out to the rich and famous. As well as a full domestic staff, Paul had also hired a tour guide, coaches, a photographer, and me to record the whole adventure for posterity. Paul told me that his elaborate plan to find a wife had taken several months to organise.
Ukrainian women tend to be among the world's most beautiful, and they also have great morals and family values, and that's what I wanted in a wife. So I sent out 400 flyers in Lugansk, put them in beauty salons, had them handed out at the metro stations, with my profile in Russian. These ladies are the sort of finalists, so to speak, and I hate to put that in that terms, but they're my finalists because I intend to marry one of them.
So you're excited, Paul, at the moment. How are you feeling about the whole thing?
Well, I mean, naturally I'm excited because all of the hard work has been put in prior to getting to this stage. And, you know, even though I consider myself very scientific in the way I do things, I did meet 10 of the 13 girls, and they were all lovely ladies, and I could get married to any one of them. Very dramatic.
So what's going to happen in here, Paul?
This will be where we will have all of our meals. I will sit at the head of the table, and I will rotate the girls from oldest to youngest round me in the center. And then you and the other people will be able to mix with them at the far end of the table. But at least it'll mean that I've given each girl equal dinner, breakfast, equal lunch, equal dinner time to convince me that they're the right one for me. And I appreciate I have to be the right one for them. I'm not proclaiming to be perfect.
I would like to hear about how you made your money and what you did that was so successful.
Well, I've done 100 deals, 200 deals.
Paul was always very, very good at talking people into proposals and propositions, business propositions. Always very, very good at it.
Paul was probably the sharpest man I've ever met. When it came to numbers, when it came to business, Paul was on it. He constantly had different business deals going on, people pushing business plans back and forth across his desk. He was very sharp and very on it.
As well as an instinct for business, Paul had another talent that started at an early age.
Yes, I think he was 9 when he first started. He started to caddy for his dad. Instead of my husband playing golf, he devoted his time to teaching Paul because he was young and he saw that he'd got potential.
I got him to know him personally through his father, really, because his father was his great mentor initially with his golf game and introduced him to the club. Everybody knew and liked Stan very much indeed. So I got to have a game with this very precocious 10-year-old with this amazing talent for the game. He was European junior champion at 17. He was the English amateur champion. And he's played some very fine players, Faldo, Woosnam, Lyle, and at the junior level, at that sort of age, never lost to any of them.
After a series of golfing triumphs, Paul negotiated a brilliant property deal. He became a millionaire and moved to Palm Beach, Florida. Paul signed up to an exclusive golf club called Adios.
Adios is a all-men's club, 299 members, I believe. Paul is one of the first 50 members. It's made up of a bunch of very, very wealthy people, billionaires to high-profile sports athletes.
At Adios, Paul indulged in another passion he'd had from an early age.
Paul is very good at gambling. Paul is a very heavy gambler. The group that he played in, they used to have very high matches. They would play $5,000 to $10,000 5 ways, which at the end of the day resorts to a lot of money. Then afterwards, they would go up and sit around the club and they would play poker for a large sum of money.
When I was in the States, we used to play a poker game with pot limit Texas Hold'em $10,000 buy-ins, but of course on any decent pair you go all in, so that puts $10,000 on the table. Then you bring out another $10,000, and then another $10,000. Before you know it, somebody's sit down in a game and lost $250,000. And I was, of course, the best player in the game. The secret was not to win every time, because I could have done that in my fucking sleep. It was to stay in the game long enough to do anything, which meant that I had to lose for part of the time. Because I can't win all the time, but I could have. And I proved that at Adios Golf Club on my way out after they all banned me from the game.
Unfortunately, from Paul's point of view, he got so good that after winning 23 times in a row, we ultimately, reluctantly decided we couldn't afford to have him in the game any longer. So he was a victim of his own success.
The group he played in, they really didn't like each other. They weren't really friends, but it was high action. They all enjoyed the gambling, and they all kind of put up with each other for that reason. I mean, when you're writing checks for 50 and 100,000, you know, every day, the warmness is not there.
Paul found little affection at the golf club and didn't seem to be able to find it outside of the club either.
He didn't date much. Once in a great while, you would hear that he went on a date. Paul loves women, but when it came to that, the very outgoing, attack everything guy was very, maybe if you want to use the word shy, when it came to women, I would think would be a good description.
This one is the former Miss Ukraine. That was what she wrote. I don't even know how to start. I want to tell you about myself, but I hope I will be able to do this when we meet. I just want to tell you in advance, thank you very much for this trip. I had a lot of plans, but now I've changed everything to come. With my best wishes, Olga, which is a very nice little hello note. And she was Miss Ukraine 2 years ago. There she is. And Miss Bikini Universe as well. Oh, so you tell me what man of 49 that's never been married you think I could fall in love with her? And that one is the one that I thought, from just a one photo point of view, really did it for me. I mean, that one photo, seeing her walk down that catwalk, I don't know how she didn't win Miss Ukraine, looking like that.
So who's that one again? Tell us who that one is.
That's Marina. Which one do you prefer of those three?
Well, I mean, I'm concentrating on the focus of the camera, so they all look really interesting. At the end of the day, actually, you know, one person looking slightly more attractive is not really...
You can't be that shallow to say that it's only about physical appearance. But it's just because of who I am that I've got an opportunity coming up to the age of 50 where I'm going to end up being with a young, beautiful woman, and I'm very excited about that. And now is the right time for me to get married, because how much longer do I want to wait if I'm going to have children, and I don't like to have children.
You're up and down like a yo-yo, spinning round and round and you don't know where to go. You're like the lights in a disco, now you're standing in the crowd. Sweet sister.
He's at an age, you know, where he thinks he wants to get married and, you know, as he said, have a family. And I support him on that, you know. I support him on that very much. Because he's a decent, intelligent guy, you know, and he deserves that. You know, he just needs to buckle up himself, stop the smoking, and just, he needs to be a man, you know. How about subsidizing it for some Benson and Hedges? Or Rothmans, you know?
No. I am going to smoke a little bit of marijuana, but I'm not...
The girls were like that.
I don't give a shit, because at the end of the day, they have to take me as I am. And if I'm in Jamaica, not when I'm in Stratford-upon-Avon, when I'm in Jamaica, if I want to lay back and smoke a spliff or two, they've got to understand that. That's part of me. That's what I'm going to do. And if they're not prepared to put up with that in that regard, with the treatment they've been given, then I don't want them.
As the sun set on our 3-hour drive to the airport, I could sense Paul's increasing nervousness as his fantasy was about to be lived out.
But I've a hunch that everything's going to work out just fine.
With the perfect romantic setting awaiting the women and the travel arrangements seemingly going to plan, everything was now down to Paul's charm.
Since I've got now a problem with an arthritic toe, standing on my feet is not exactly the best thing for me to do. But it'll be a good test of how much they care about me when I disclose at an early stage that I do have an arthritic toe, and it's painful to even walk, let alone dance. See which ones have sympathy, see which ones don't. Don't you agree, Mark? Don't you think that's
a good approach.
That's a good approach? Well, I need to take them out now.
All of them, why you don't keep them in the bag and give them one at a time?
I will give them one at a time.
Take it out, they'll drop.
Turn that all up, yeah.
Come, Paul. Now we have a very special rose here because when you take it off, it becomes a bikini. Right foot is very, very painful as we speak. So it's looking like dancing is out of the question, but a good hobble probably will get me there. It's one of the disadvantages when you're with an older man. His body starts to fall apart a little bit. Everyone smile at the camera. better off looking at you than looking at me.
We call it backyard, and another time we call it jam rock. We say me gonna jam down. In other words, me gone back home, Jamaica. Sometimes we call it backyard, Jamaica, and another time we call it jam rock.
I was impressed that Paul had succeeded in getting the 12 women from the Ukraine to Jamaica. It looked as though everyone was enjoying themselves, and for the first night, Paul's plan looked like a masterstroke.
Welcome to Jamaica.
After the initial excitement of their arrival the night before, the women seemed a little subdued as they tried, with the help of an interpreter, to make sense of their new surroundings and of Paul.
I'm just the luckiest guy in the world here if you take a look around at all these beautiful young ladies from the Lugansk region of the Ukraine. And I'm here to hopefully find one of them as my wife. But as I've said to them all on many occasions, if I could marry more than one lady, I'd marry all of them at the same time on Valentine's Day.
Have we had anybody jump out that what you wasn't expecting, or?
Yes.
Who's this?
The one that is Isabella.
Yeah.
Isabella is 184 centimeters. I mean, I imagine that's got to be close to 6 feet. Certainly a lot of bodily chemistry. And she's intelligent, and the other girls look up to her and seem to respect her. So that's obviously another one. Obviously Anna, Alina.
On the one harried day I'd spent filming with him in England before the trip, Paul had asked me to make a short film to show the Ukrainian women.
It will be 4 girls 3 times. 4 girls 3 times is fine. This is my home and about my life and my family in Stratford-upon-Avon. Because in many ways, if you marry me, you marry this. Stratford-upon-Avon has only got 25,000 people, but it's the second busiest tourist destination in Europe outside London, with 8 million tourists coming through it every year. Well, this is Kenilworth Manor Nursing Home for the elderly. I've owned it for over 20 years. This is the view from the apartment. This apartment block here is the nicest apartment block in Stratford-upon-Avon. I bought it from my parents about 20 years ago when I first went tax exile. Yes, this picture up here was when I was 18 years old and won the English Amateur Golf Championship.
Paul's been a very good son to us. He's looked after us all our lives, and we're very grateful for it. But now we're getting older and we'd like to see him settle down with a young lady. We'd like to think he's, we're getting old, we haven't got much longer to go, really, and we always wanted him to finish up with a caring lady, really. That's it.
As long as they love each other, that's all that matters.
We're a very close family, and we love each other, and we all know what love means. And I would expect the same with a relationship with my wife, to love my wife as well.
It was hard to tell what the women made of Paul's sales pitch for life with him in Stratford-upon-Avon. But they were soon whisked off to famous beauty spots around Jamaica.
I am a one-woman man. I'd be so happy if you were mine. You'd be number one. Out of 12, still number one. What we'd be leaving behind. I am a one-woman man. And it would make me feel so fine. You'd be number one. Out of 12, still number one. What we'd be leaving behind.
Many of the women had never been outside of the Ukraine before, and Paul's offer of a 2-week fantasy holiday with the prospect of marrying a wealthy businessman must have at first seemed an attractive opportunity.
Oh, I think it's wonderful. Yeah, it's really great. In the ocean, under the castle, I was shocking.
You were pleased, you were excited.
Yeah. I think I'm a beautiful woman, and all pictures are beautiful too.
We've got the chemistry. No one can do it better. Yes, I'm a love maker, and you appreciate how hard I grind. How hard I grind? Yeah, how hard I work. 'Cause I'm a hard worker.
On the face of it, Jamaica was the perfect fantasy location. But I hadn't realised it was also the worst possible place Paul could have chosen. Beneath the surface, there was something increasingly strange about Paul's behaviour. It turned out to be related to an incident that happened 6 years ago. Just as now, Paul was on holiday in Jamaica.
He came back after about 3 days, and he seemed different. He seemed very, very emotional, very high, very strung out in a way. We noticed throughout his week before he went back to Jamaica that he all of a sudden started smoking pot. I did not know Paul to ever do any drugs or anything of that nature. He goes back to Jamaica. We start receiving wild phone calls 2-3 days after he's there, using phrases such as binary bonding in Africa. He was having telepathy with Stephen Hawking, and we were going to be the richest people in the world. Kelly and myself initially thought that he was on some heavy drugs. It was more than the pot. He has to be on something down there. Somebody's got him hooked.
Kelly Jones was about to fly to Jamaica to find out what was going on. But before he left, news came that Paul had been committed to a psychiatric hospital. He had met a woman, a marine biologist, and they had some sort of conversation. Later, he went to her room to ask her to marry him.
Paul went there extremely manic, and he basically kicked her door in, and the door actually hit her. Security came and grabbed Paul. In the process of taking Paul away, Paul frees himself from the security, Jamaican police, takes off running down this pier, and keep in mind, Paul cannot swim. He does not know how to swim. Leaped off of this pier with boulders and rocks and waves crashing into it. Misses the rocks by 3 or 4 feet into the water, and he's now on his back with his arms out, floating, better than an Olympic swimmer could be, and the waves are pushing him off the rocks, and he's just kicking himself back, floating. Eventually, 2 or 3 guys, I don't know if they're lifeguards in the Jamaican police, whatever, went down with wetsuits and got Paul out, and they were carrying him over these jagged rocks, and they got him up onto this pier. And he's looking up in the air with his hands out, saying, "Steven, Steven, come on, send me," and he's swearing during the process, "Send me a message. I don't know what to do. I'm doing everything you ask. Help me out." They strapped him down and took him away and put him into this hospital.
They came along, 3 or 4 of them, put a needle in my arm.
Literally sort of men in white coats type thing?
Yeah.
And how do you feel when that happens? Have you got feelings about that when that's happening? How does that affect you?
Well, I mean, when you're manic, there's nothing anybody can say to you that's going to stop you.
No, you're completely rooted in that world.
You live out your fantasy world, that's right.
Very next day, psychologist comes, meets with Kelly, and turns around and goes, have you been seeing this, and this? And Kelly goes, wow, whatever it is, that's it. That's what we've been seeing. And he goes, well, Paul is a manic bipolar. 1, I believe. And from that day on, Paul has been a completely different person, and it's been a roller coaster, to say the least, for him. He goes from extreme highs to a week or two of balanced, to a massive depression, to maybe a month or 2 of balanced, and he starts the whole cycle back over.
And the most idyllic spot on earth, Port Antonio, Jamaica, where the Blue Mountains meet the Blue Lagoon. White sand beaches, waterfalls, tropical rainforests, a true paradise, a true Garden of Eden.
Back at the castle, the women seemed unaware that their host was in the middle of a manic episode. Paul had promised them all portfolios, and they were keen to get on with having their photos taken.
Son, I want to have fun. Just get me some son, I got to have fun.
As the women posed, Paul paced.
Europe can't entice me, Siberia now see me, Alaska no chance. Get me some son, I got to have fun. Just get me some son, I want to have fun.
A few hours later, I was invited to his bedroom for a big announcement.
I just thought that I would tell you a remarkable thing about the time that this young lady and I met, is that my opening line to her was, I would marry you tomorrow as long as you don't mind me having more than 1 wife. To which Alina replied, as long as I'm number 1. And I said, okay. We haven't discussed it since.
Yeah, it was the truth. Because I'll never be the second wife for sure. I'll be the one and forever.
So do you take me as number 1 wife, knowing there are going to be some more?
As far as you're the number 1 husband.
Of course I'll be number 1 husband.
We'll discuss it.
I will have multiple wives, and they will all be numbered sequentially.
What does Alina think about it?
And Alina would be the number 1 bull. So what does Alina? You can ask Alina.
I will kill him. In a good meaning. No, to tell the truth, I'm really jealous about my manager. But if Paul feels comfortable about it and he will be happy, why not?
You'll be jealous of the other wives?
Yeah, but I'm sure in myself, so
Yeah.
I think in the time it will disappear.
But would you rather have him as a wife to yourself than have...
Maybe they will need to think about multiply number of husbands.
We're waiting.
I want to talk with you.
Yeah.
I'm next.
You're next.
Yes.
Come up to the room.
Go. Let's go.
So I'm proud to announce that these 3 young ladies today have agreed to become my wife. I think that's about all we have to say for the time being.
Paul's search for a wife had suddenly turned into an audition for a harem. I assumed the women who accepted thought this was Paul's idea of a joke or some kind of game.
Nice.
Nice.
Very nice.
Paul had organised a number of activities for the women, including a yoga class. But he clearly had other matters on his mind. As they stretched, Paul summoned me for another announcement.
I am Yah, the voice of Allah. Allah is everything. Allah is nothing. Allah has no voice. I am that voice. I am God. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like you to actually pay tribute and applaud at some point My 7 samurai. The 7 samurai of Allah who look after you every day. Number 1 samurai.
Say next time you face the truth, so much war to first die. Me happen to the what is happening. It is so very shocking, and nobody is listening.
5, 6, 7.
What money they ending, and what's that they're investing in me? What interest they're living in, but interest don't stop everything. What a thing, what a thing, what a thing, what a song.
Thank you, gentlemen, for everything you do for us every day. We appreciate you.
As the days passed, I thought Paul's mania might subside, but instead he started to deliver long speeches as he paced about that he wanted filmed in their entirety.
He was from a junior college. He'd got a lot of talent, a huge amount of talent. Anybody that drives the ball 300 yards and putting's the best part of their game have got talent. But he had the grip that he had.
As Paul's mania appeared to intensify, his interest in the women diminished.
Very long swing and hit everything with a big roping hook. So we have one more, I think, a golfer, and then we'll wrap it up for the day. In a mania, there's no rhyme or reason to anything. You just live in your fantasy world until you come down with a bump. Member of my home club, always was member of my home club. Never beat me, ever.
Ironically, the mania that led Paul to Jamaica to find a wife was now leading him far away from his original mission.
And he treated me like dog shit.
Ignored by Paul, the women were left to amuse themselves with a crab that was floating in the pool. After his first manic episode several years earlier, Paul was introduced to psychiatrist Dr. Ben Roche.
In manic depressive illness or bipolar disorder, what you have is a dysregulation of normal emotions that people have, like sadness and like euphoria or elation. When that regulation doesn't work well, then you have a major episode that disables the individual. The first thing that we tend to do with people who are bipolar is to go over in a kind of educational way what they can expect. And what they usually can expect is some level of cycling that occurs. Medications are an important factor here. A lot of bipolar individuals don't like to take medications because that makes them too stable for their taste. I also advised him to refrain from using marijuana. Marijuana in particular is a very potent hallucinogen for individuals who are prone to having psychotic symptoms.
This is the entrance hall, which I think is rather grandiose, don't you think? Grandiose is what I've been described as by psychiatrists for quite a while. Grandiosity, they call it, that my thoughts are grandiose.
Paul's plan for world domination had temporarily distracted him from his plan to find a wife. But now, on a day trip to the beach, Paul's attention had returned to them.
There are 3 that have agreed to marry me so far, and I'm working on number 4 tonight. And then after I go to number 4, I haven't yet decided whether I should go sequentially or bring them all into the room at one time and and have a meeting between all of us, which is a possibility at this point, but I've not yet come to any particular conclusion.
And have you decided how many in total you might actually marry now?
Yes, I think I might marry all 12.
As the women filed in for the evening meal, it felt as though we were all trapped in a distorted reality TV show.
Where is Mark around? Oh, there's Mark's over there. I was wondering where he was. So tonight, everybody goes, Dylan, take a seat. When we have a couple of announcements to make that, as some of you know and some of you do not know, is that I am Allah in these humble clothes. And part of that involves marrying multiple ladies in my harem. I have already earlier today married Isabella. I have married Karina. And I have married Anna. Alina has agreed to marry me on my birthday. But since I will be having more than 12 wives, I'd like to invite all of you ladies to be my wife.
Why you need so much wives?
It's not a case of how many I might need. It is what a case of being the only way of being fair.
That night, each of the women told Paul that there'd be one of his fantasy wives. But they seemed as bewildered as I was by the situation.
I still can't understand what's going on for all this trip.
You can't understand it?
Yes, I can't understand and I can't believe in all what's going on.
Bipolar disorder can lie dormant amongst those with a predisposition towards it, but it can suddenly and unexpectedly be triggered into life. It was Anna's birthday, and Paul arranged a lunch at a local marina. He was soon distracted by a distant hill. It provided a clue to one possible trigger of Paul's condition.
On top of that mountain, I shall build the palace of Allah. And atop that mountain you shall live.
Why at the top of mountain?
Because the view is so beautiful all the way around. And it's a pity we can't go up there, but we will.
I never saw the most beautiful place before.
Do you think it'd be nice to live up on that hill?
Yeah?
It will be beyond nice for you living on top of that hill.
And it's going to be built of what? Of marble?
Of marble. And I have all the marble located in Florence, Alabama. 1.8 billion cubic feet of net mineable reserves, and that isn't even the top of the iceberg. That stone and that stone alone shall build the palace of Allah.
Like dreams, all the delusions or grandiose plans tend to have a kernel of truth. And sometimes it's difficult to tease out how much is the actual objective data versus an embellishment of it.
Paul actually does own a marble quarry in Florence, Alabama, that he bought around 10 years ago. It had the potential to be highly profitable. Paul convinced some of the super-rich members of the Adios Golf Club to invest in the marble quarry, but it was a gamble that didn't pay off.
They invested to build a processing plant. All the money that was invested was basically dried up. It was spent, squandered. The full story I don't know, but a lot of people lost a good chunk of money in that.
There were a lot of people who'd invested their money at Adios, and whereas in the past, talking people into business deals, friends or otherwise, has always been successful, this one was not, and I think that affected him quite badly.
A bad situation in your relationships or a bad situation in your business can trigger the first episode. So he indeed was dealing with a number of businesses, and some of them he felt that he was under tremendous pressure.
Things were going wrong. It wasn't easy to see how they were going to come right. He'd always managed to get them right in the past, but this one wasn't going to be like that. And I think that it coincided with some losses of shares, investment in Global Star, in which a number of us invested and lost money. So things all went a bit sour in about 2004. And I think he went into a form of denial, which has led to his current illness.
Whatever the explanation, once his bipolar disorder was triggered, there was no going back.
The interesting thing about bipolar disorder, though, is that initially you may need a rather important stressor. Later on, it takes a life of its own. So you no longer need major stressors to trigger it. Similar to epilepsy. We tend to think about this as very similar to epilepsy, in which once you have several seizures, your brain is kindled, meaning it's far more sensitive to having an episode without a major trigger.
I am Allah, and I am here in my home at Trident Castle in Port Antonio, Jamaica. My word is law.
By now, Paul was totally focused on me and my camera. It was uncomfortable, but I thought it was better to comply with his wishes and not risk upsetting him. So I kept on filming.
Because if you think this is the first and last movie, you are crazy.
Although stressful at times, there were moments when Paul's mania was intoxicating and surprisingly attractive. Thanks to Paul's amazing high, I'd spent 2 weeks with 12 beautiful women in a Caribbean paradise. And for a brief time, I too became a deity.
Say hello to Apollo. Apollo!
For that moment, I felt like a god and basked in my universe.
Because next time, Apollo, is your turn. I'm going to kiss all the ladies in front of Vladimir Putin.
The women appeared to have relaxed with Paul, and they had worked hard preparing dances that they performed for him over several nights. It was as though Paul's mania had enabled him to become a Superman. His shyness was swept away as night after night he had 12 beautiful women throwing themselves at his feet. Paul now appeared to have the harem he wanted.
People pay thousands for drugs to try and get where you are and never quite get there. So, I mean, a manic high is something that's better than taking any drugs. You are completely flying naturally.
I mean, if you really think about the mindset of the individual who is in a manic state, they are mostly elated. You feel on top of the world. You feel that you can do anything, that you can buy anything, that all your senses are exalted, you feel more sexual drive, you feel that you can accomplish just about anything, and also that you have special powers or that you have special connections with very powerful people.
That show was put on for my great friend Vladimir Putin on behalf of 12 beautiful ladies from Lugansk in the Ukraine, who each to the one of them would have you Tsar of Russia. That includes the Ukraine. Do we not agree with that, ladies?
Agree, of course.
And thank you for the 3 nuclear submarines. We wouldn't want to have to nuke the polar ice caps on 911, which is the backup plan. You end up spending an awful lot of money, you end up saying ridiculous things to various people who they believe what you say to them, because I'm normally a very credible individual. But when you go off the chart, there's nothing you can do about it. On that note, I think dinner.
He's very soft and nice. You like?
I've no idea what it looks like. Hang on, wait a minute. Hang on. First of all, #1 wife of the day. Does anybody doubt that I am Allah? Niet, niet.
Rather than alienating the women, Paul's mania now seemed to be drawing them ever deeper into his fantasy world. He was now a master of the universe, in which anything and everything was possible.
We are all joined. We are all joined.
I suddenly felt a moment of envy towards Paul's heightened state.
And what luckier man is there in the world than me?
On a scale of your manias, where was that, 1 to 10?
It was a 10. It was a 10.
There was a full-on...
You can't go higher than that.
It's all about being able to want to manage it. And Paul loves it so much that he doesn't want to manage it. He enjoys it. I think he understands the lows and he deals with the lows just to get back to the high.
I am a person with very strong convictions. Sometimes I'm certain, sometimes I change direction. I know this type of mindset often causes confusion. I know this type of mindset causes contention. But there's one thing for sure I'll never deviate from. Yes, on my mind there's a burning question. I'm putting it out there for your contemplation. But first my conclusion, then the question. I wanna be loved by...
You mean just you and I together for 30 minutes to an hour will be terrific. An hour and a half would be even better. 2 hours would be off the chart. Because it's tough to get to know each other properly. In the zoo. This lady drives me nuts. The first one I married. But I keep thinking about her.
Because I wanna be
Do you feel like you could have a relationship with Paul?
Yes. I think yes.
Who do you think I am? To say that you don't trust me? Who do you think you are?
Paul agrees that he's addicted to his manias, but the price he pays for them in terms of crippling depressions is high.
You don't know my truth. What do we really share?
My last day here, I'm going to have my head shaved so that the world can see the scars from where my brain was removed. So shall we proceed with the operation? Let us see the scars.
Watching Paul in front of the women was a poignant moment. Rather than a god, he now appeared human and vulnerable. The women seemed to be moved by his sudden fragility, sympathetic perhaps, but unsure how to react.
Thank you. You see those scars, Apollo?
Mm-hmm. The other way.
Yeah, that's so sad. I see. Better than before.
Although Paul had shaved his head during a mania, his mood had been dark and emotional. An insight perhaps into the depression that always follows.
When you come into depressions, I mean, you have a lot of suicidal thoughts. I was on the computer the other day checking out that Digitas, whatever it is, clinic in Switzerland for voluntary euthanasia. And I found myself in the past going into a shotgun shop to buy a shotgun. But the thing that's kept me from ever doing that is the love I've got for my parents, and I know that it would finish them off. I mean, it would absolutely crucify them if I did anything like that. So that's what keeps me going through the dark days of the depressions.
Sadly, Paul's father died within a few months of his return from Jamaica. Paul's mother is elderly and ill too, and I worried about Paul's future on his own.
Paul's father passing away and his mother being ill as well. Once she's gone and there's nobody around Paul, because to my knowledge he doesn't have any other family, I fear for him in many ways.
I'm alone and I'm in paradise. Clearly it wasn't money well spent. It would be money well spent if I found my wife out of it. If this were turned into a movie and it were helpful to other people, people to get an insight into a bipolar mania, then that would be okay. I mean, I'm certainly not broke in the overall mix, but it's certainly a lot of money to spend on a 3-week jaunt to Jamaica.
When the Jamaica trip ended, the women went home, and Paul hasn't seen any of them since. In the year following Jamaica, Paul has been manic and depressed a number of times. As Paul and I watched the film, I realised that I'd had a rare insight into a manic episode. Although witnessing one at close hand had been frightening at times, I could see why Paul's highs are so attractive to him.
I'm alone, I'm in paradise.
I finally understood why Paul has no desire to moderate his condition and why he chooses to embrace it. Paul struggles through his lows as he waits for the highs that will once again transform his world into a paradise.
I thought that you did an absolutely fantastic job there.
Yeah.
Really do.
It's looking good, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's kind of feels a bit like a movie.
Bipolar disorder is a brain disorder also known as manic depression. It causes the person's mood to frequently jump from intense highs to unbearable lows. It affects millions, and although it's treatable, there is no definite cure. I'm not out of order. I've got bipolar. It's a disorder.